and welcome to season 2 of my podcast. Today, my guest is Violet Moore, who is a student of astronomy. She likes art and writing and has published books. She also likes playing music, especially traditional Irish music on the accordion. Hi, Violet. Welcome to my show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is going to be fun because I really like astronomy and I like space.
Oh, awesome. Yes, space is so cool.
So, to start off with, I've heard about astrology. Is it linked to astronomy?
Astrology and astronomy, the similarity between them is that they both have to do with stars and outer space. But astronomy is the scientific study of outer space itself and things like stars and galaxies and black holes, which are especially cool. Astrology is different. Astrology is the idea that the position of stars, as we see them from Earth, are always changing. And the position of the stars, the moment that you were born, can affect your personality. And it's not something that can be scientifically proven, but there are a lot of people who believe in it.
What is astronomy?
Astronomy? Astronomy is the scientific study of everything that happens in outer space. So, stars, galaxies, black holes, the universe itself, and how all of that works and why it all exists in the way that it does. And it's really interesting. There's loads of uh, different branches of it, and there's tons of things that people are discovering every day because space is so incredibly huge that we're never going to run out of new things to discover.
How old is our Milky Way?
Oh, I don't actually know that. It is very old. I know that it's billions of years old. The universe is about, I think it's 13.7 billion years old. And the Milky Way is not as old as the universe, but it's way older than the Earth, which is 4.5 billion years old. So we're talking billions of years. And it's more years than anyone can really wrap their minds around. It's so old.
What is the oldest planet in the Milky Way?
Well, I don't know either. The thing about that is that we don't know where most of the planets are in the Milky Way. The Milky Way is home to so many stars, and a lot of those stars have planets, and we haven't even discovered them all. So no one knows the answer to that question right now, but it's a really good question. So first, before we answer that question, first we need to discover all the planets, and then we'd need to figure out how old they are. But we're so far away from discovering all the planets. We've only discovered a tiny fraction of the ones that we think exist.
Recently, there was a lot of news about the Great Conjunction. Can you tell me what was special about it?
Yeah, so the Great Conjunction was the two planets, Saturn and Jupiter, passed each other in their orbits around the sun. And this isn't super unusual. It happens about every 20 years. But what was so special about this one was that the planets, as we saw them from Earth, passed by each other closer than they had in a really long time. The last time they passed this close was 400 years ago. That's why it was all in the news and everyone was talking about it.
Yeah, since then I've been really interested in space.
Yeah.
More interested than I was.
Oh yeah, it's so cool. What's really cool is that even though it looks like from Earth, even though it looks like to us that they're passing really close to each other, they're still millions of miles apart from each other. It just looks like that to us because we're so far away, and that really gives, I guess, an impression of how big everything is, and how big the distances between everything are.
How do you tell the difference between a, a different planet from Earth and a star?
I think that the way people tell the difference is that the planets move differently as uh, from where we see them from Earth than the stars, because the planets are way closer to us than the stars, and they're also orbiting around the sun. And so if you track the movement of the planets, I believe this is how people figured out how to distinguish them from stars, is that they move very differently than the stars, which are so much farther away, and their movement to us is not as extreme.
When the Earth is constantly moving, why don't we feel it moving?
We don't feel the Earth moving because we are standing on the Earth. So we're moving at the same speed as the Earth is at all times. One way of explaining it that I've heard is that it's like when you're in a car, right? Or you're on an airplane, and you know that the vehicle that you're in is moving really quickly, but you don't feel like you're moving because you're moving with the car and you're just sitting still. So it's sort of like that, but on a much larger scale.
Mm-hmm. In the plane, when I always sit, it feels like I'm just like staying in the air, floating in the air.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's the same effect as when you're in a plane like that and you just feel like you're sitting still, even though you're moving hundreds of miles an hour.
Why does it look like the sun moves when the earth is actually moving?
Oh, well, I guess that is just because we're on the Earth. And so I guess it's sort of the same to the earlier question, like the Earth is moving, and but we don't feel like we're moving because we're moving at the same speed as the Earth. And I guess you could continue to use the plane or car analogy. When you're in a car and you look out and you see the entire outside moving, it looks like the trees are all running past you, and the entire outside world is going past you, and that it's moving when really it is standing still and you're the one moving.
Mm-hmm. I now understand.
Cool.
Why does the earth feel like it is flat when it is actually curved?
So the Earth feels like it's flat because the Earth is really big compared to us. We just, by virtue of how tiny we are on the Earth, we can't see the curve. If because we just can't see enough of it at once. You'll notice that if you draw a circle and you look at it from far away, you can tell that it's a circle. But if you start to zoom in to one of the edges, the curve will start to you'll start to be able to see the curve less and less. And if you zoom in really far, then it'll almost look like a straight line. And that's sort of the same thing as happens on Earth. We're like right on Earth, and so we're really close to it all the time, and we're so small. So what is actually a curve looks like a straight line to us.
Mm-hmm. You like writing and have published books. Can you tell me more about your books?
Yeah, so the book that I published is a children's picture book called Flower Cats, and it's about 5 tiny cats who all live in a garden together. It's based on an idea that I had since I was really little, like 3 or 4 years old. And I would imagine little tiny cats hiding in the flowers, and eventually I just turned it into a book. So I wrote and illustrated it. I've written other books that I haven't published. Those are more novels than picture books. But those I have not published. The only book that I've published is Flower Cats.
How did you get interested in Irish music?
My dad always played Irish music for years before I was even born. He plays guitar, and he was a musician. That was his job for a long, long time. My mom is also a musician. She doesn't play Irish music, but she plays music. And so when I was little, I grew up hearing all different kinds of music, including Irish music. I started playing Irish music on the accordion because my dad met an accordion teacher who was staying in Chicago, where I live, for a little while, and she started teaching me accordion. And so ever since then, I have played.
Mm-hmm. Is it very hard to play the accordion? Because I've seen pictures of it and it looks very complicated.
Um, it's hard when you're first getting started. The thing about the accordion, about the type of accordion I play the button accordion, that makes it hard is that it has a lot of buttons on the right side, and you also need to push and pull the instrument, the bellows on the instrument, which is in the middle. But each button that you play plays a different note when you push it from when you pull it, which makes it really complicated. And it's hard to. It was hard for me to get a hang of when I first started, but I've been playing for so many years now that it's completely natural to me now. I'm just so used to it.
Yeah. I've been learning the piano. I had started learning when I was in India. That was also a little bit hard, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I used to play the piano. I don't really anymore, but that's a really fun instrument too.
Mhm. What is your favorite food?
That's hard. I have a lot of favorite foods. I'd say one of my favorite foods would be pasta, especially penne pasta. Uh, I love that so much. I could eat it all day. I also really love rice and dal. That's another food that I could eat all day. And let's see. I'd have to say I have so many foods that I like. I also really like ice cream. I'll say that. Ice cream is delicious.
I like all the three things you mentioned.
Oh, excellent. Yes, we share very good taste.
I also like lots of foods.
Yeah, it's hard to choose just one.
Yeah. One of my favorites is Thai green curry.
Ooh, I've had Thai curry. I don't know if I've had green curry specifically, but I've had a few types of curry, and yes, it is so delicious.
I know. Thank you so much for coming on my show.
Yeah, no problem. It was really fun.
It went by really fast.
Yeah.
I learned a lot about astronomy.
Oh, good. Yeah, it was really fun being able to talk about it. I love talking about it.
Mhm. And I now like listening about it.
Good. Yes. Oh, astronomy is so cool. You should totally learn all that you can about it because it's an awesome subject and there's so many cool things about it.
I'll try to.
Yes.
Dear listeners, follow my Facebook page, Curious Vedanth, to get updates on my upcoming episodes. To listen at leisure on your phone and get notified about future episodes, subscribe by searching for Curious Vedanth wherever you get your podcasts, such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can also listen to my show on curiousvedanth.com. Thank you for listening to Curious Vedanth. And don't forget to rate and leave comments